Chapter 56. Previously Lucky girl, Naruto muttered. I still have the lazy ass to fight. I know, Shikamaru replied. What a drag. Now So Shikakuin, Hinata began, making the sleeper lazily open a single eye. Have a plan against Naruto-kun? Hinata asked. Oh yeah, Shikamaru quickly replied, waving his hand dismissively, though Hinata noticed the small hint of sarcasm behind his tone. I plan to get rid of Naruto within the first minute of match, Shikamaru explained, and Hinata just chuckled. I bet, Hinata replied with amusement. No faith in my skills, Shikamaru said. Oh no, you misunderstand me, Hinata began. I have extreme faith in your abilities, your dedication and commitment on the other hand. Not so much, Hinata replied cheekily. Shikamaru just grinned before closing his eyes and yawning loudly. And you, Naruto-kun? Hinata turned towards the blonde who was watching with talk between her and Shikamaru with amusement. Who knows what that lazy ass has planned, Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Naruto and Shikamaru to the arena, be called. Time to face the music, Shikamaru muttered as he got up and stretched his sore limbs. Arena Senju Naruto of Konoha against Nara Shikamaru of Konoha. Both contestants ready? Be asked, and both nodded. Begin. Before Naruto could even crouch or take a step forward, Shikamaru made a timeout sign with his arms. What? Naruto asked confused. Can I have the first move? Shikamaru asked. What, I guess, Naruto replied, not understanding what Shikamaru wanted. Hypothetically, Shikamaru started and Naruto raised an eyebrow. If I were to use your patented Oiroke no Jutsu, sexy jutsu, Hinata version, you wouldn't faint, right? Shikamaru asked. No. Naruto answered skeptically, with clear doubt in his voice. Oh well, I guess I give up then, Shikamaru said, and Naruto blinked. He turned towards B, who also blinked. You ain't surrendering, fool, B said. I am, and I just did, Shikamaru said as he walked out of the arena. Well, I guess you win, B muttered beneath his breath. Winner, Senju Naruto of Konoha. With crowd. Same old Shikakuin, Hinata said, shaking her head in amusement. He pulled the same stunt at the Chunin exams, Hinata said as she watched most of the crowd face palm at Shikamaru's actions. And I'm back, Shikamaru said as he walked in. I told you I would be done with him under a minute. Faith, right? Hinata asked, and Shikamaru nodded. He sat in the same spot and immediately closed his eyes, wishing for some much-needed sleep. Hinata to the arena, be called. Kage's box Finally we will get some action, the Raikage said, correcting his posture and slightly bending forward to give the incoming match his full attention. This won't be a normal match, you know. Jiraiya asked, never looking down from the arena. The Raikage hummed in curiosity, turning towards Jiraiya. The pervert seemed to be reminiscing about something, not even acknowledging the Raikage's attention. There has never been, to my knowledge, a match between two Kage-level shinobi merely for entertainment purposes, Jiraiya chuckled, and the Raikage paid close attention to his words. And I doubt they will think of this as a simple show for the crowd. I have no doubts that it will be very entertaining, but for them it will have a special meaning. Did you know that they have been training side by side for years? Jiraiya asked and paused, but continued before the Raikage could comment. They trained together since they were 8 years old. At that age I playing with wooden kunai and jumping in the mud, Jiraiya chuckled, and the Raikage snickered. They had the village against them, both shouldering hate, misery, distaste. They were forced to grow harshly, almost like in times of war. And grow up they did. Brave, loyal, strong, each one in their own way. Naruto against the village, Hinata against her family, joined by their misfortune and driven together by their will to overcome their obstacles and become something more. It almost sounds like those crappy romance books you find at the stores regarding misfit people who eventually become something, Jiraiya laughed before quieting down. But those two are special, and I believe that together they will change the world. I trained them both for 3 years, and together they can achieve the impossible. They complement each other in every way. It's kind of strange really, growing up as both rivals and lovers, but I think that it only made them stronger, in both ways, Jiraiya said in a soft tone, his voice was filled with pride. But I am just an old pervert reminiscing about his students, Jiraiya laughed. After all, this is their story to tell. With crowd. Final match of this year's Jounin exams, B said, and the crowd cheered as both Naruto and Hinata took their place facing each other. Senju Naruto of Konoha ready? B asked and Naruto nodded. Senju Hinata of Konoha ready? Yes, Hinata replied. Begin. B called for the start of the match, but neither Naruto nor Hinata made a single movement. Not a step forward, no shifting of their weight, not even a blink. Our first fight as a married couple, Naruto grinned while Hinata just laughed softly before quieting down. Do you remember it? Hinata asked in a low voice. She seemed to almost whisper her question, but Naruto heard her nonetheless. Naruto smiled as a small memory jumped into his mind. I promise Hinaheim that I will one day remove that seal. I promise that I'll protect you and together we will show the village what a couple of losers can do, Naruto said, smiling as he reminisced at that particular time. You do remember, Hinata smiled with her eyes almost watering. They weren't just words, Hinata-chan. I meant every single thing I said, Naruto replied. You know that I always considered myself your equal. I always strive to be as brave as you, as strong as you, but I stopped that 1 year ago, Hinata said, and Naruto rose an eyebrow in confusion. When your eyes reached their final level, I knew that no matter how hard I tried, how hard I pushed myself, I could no longer reach you, Hinata said, and Naruto was about to say something but Hinata stopped him. And the thing is, I am okay with that, Hinata smiled softly. I always pushed myself and thought that if I was anything below you then the village would see me as just Hyuga Hinata, the disowned daughter of the Hyuga clan. But I was wrong, even though I will never reach you, they see me as Senju Hinata. I'm not shadowed by marrying you or belonging to the Senju clan, they respect me, they acknowledge me by my talents in taijutsu, my byakugan, and medicine. I came to the conclusion that the village and the world already sees me as something and now all I want is to make you proud of me, Hinata finished and Naruto sat there gobsmacked. Ready? Hinata asked as she took her stance. I was always proud of you, Naruto thought as he launched himself forward, picking up dust as their fists met with a bang. Hashtag with crowd hashtag. Well, Shikamaru said, getting up. I'm leaving, Shikamaru said and started walking away. You are not watching the match? Tenten asked, having regained consciousness and being allowed by the medics to watch the matches. No. Why? Tenten asked in disbelief. Safety, Shikamaru simply replied. What? Tenten asked, furrowing her eyebrows in confusion. She's going all out and I value my life, Shikamaru said. We are Tenten was broken from her explanation when the stand seemed to rumble. She quickly turned to the arena to see that the match had begun and Naruto and Hinata had both fists against one another. See that? I'm leaving, Shikamaru said and walked away as the stands vibrated again. Oh dear, Tenten muttered when she noticed specks of dust falling from the concrete ceiling. Hashtag arena hashtag. Naruto and Hinata were both engaged in a highly technical taijutsu match. For now it all about the stances, the blocks and counters, not that the punches didn't have power behind them, I assure they did. But for now it was matter of skill and not power. Hinata threw a fast left jab only to Naruto parry her strike. Naruto simply tapped her arm away and quickly replied with a jab of his own, straight to her head, aiming for her left temple but Hinata quickly countered with the same, locking each other's arms. The ground rumbled and cracked as both struggled to overpower the other, his glowing red eyes staring straight into Hinata's silver Byakugan who also was already activated. Hinata's arms suddenly turned to the same blue gel he had seen in the previous match. Naruto stumbled forward, surprised by Hinata's sudden disengage. His eyes widened when he noticed Hinata tilting her head back and quickly bringing it forward, trying to head-butt him straight on. Now that's a woman who doesn't mind playing rough, Naruto thought to himself as he used his Kamui to phase through Hinata. As he passed through her, he quickly turned around with a spin kick, only to simply be blocked. Hinata hadn't even turned around and blocked a blind kick to her backside with a single hand, courtesy of the 360 degrees of vision from the Byakugan. Hinata swiftly turned around, ducking swiftly as her right fist seemed to gain a blue hue. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw the chakra build up within her fist. Hinata extended her right arm heading for a right swing, her fist seemed to almost whistle with the speed it carried. Naruto raised his left arm, intending to intercept her attack. Just before her attack connected, Naruto used his free arm's hand to support his defending arm, knowing the attack would be powerful. Hinata's fist crashed into Naruto with a loud, resounding bang, forcing Naruto back a few inches, his feet dragging through the ground as he was pushed back. I'm not blocking another one of those, Naruto thought, gritting his teeth as he jumped backwards. He lightly shook and flexed his left arm, trying to get rid of the pain and the lingering stinging sensation. He looked up to see Hinata raising her leg and smashing it into the ground, ripping out a huge boulder of the ground. With a single hand she picked up the boulder and hurled it towards Naruto. "Oh hell," Naruto muttered as he charged a Rasengan and smashed it against the boulder, pulverizing the stone. He looked up to see that Hinata had disappeared. He backflipped from his position as Hinata shot from underground, her right fist prepared for an uppercut, her punch missing his chin by a few inches. As he was backflipping, Naruto tried to kick her chin in reply, only for to simply tilt her head backwards just enough to dodge it, no wasted movements. Hat Kushu, Air Palm. Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu, Great Fireball Technique, Naruto countered Hinata's air palm with a powerful fireball. The fireball easily ripped through her wind attack and continued towards the target. Katon, Hinata was enveloped in a spinning shroud of chakra. The fire crashed against Hinata's defense and was quickly put out by her spinning effect. As the dust settled down from her defensive move, both Naruto and Hinata stared at each other before moving forward again. They met again with a bang, their fists blurring towards each other at blinding speeds. Naruto could track every single one thanks to his Sharingan, and Hinata could see his muscles preparing for the strike, giving her a heads up. Hinata's fist glowed once again, and this time she sent her punch straight forward, reverberating through the air. Bang! Naruto sidestepped her punch, making it hit the arena walls head-on. The stone wall screeched almost like wood cracking, a fissure started from the impact place and spread all the way to the top, making heavy chunks of stone fall to the ground and leaving a large opening on the walls. Her strength is just ridiculous, and she's not even using senjutsu. Naruto shook his head in thought. #Kagebox ##. Oh hell, the Raikage sighed when he noticed part of the arena walls collapsing. At this pace they will bring the whole place down, the Raikage muttered while Jiraiya just chuckled. They certainly aren't pulling any punches, get it? Jiraiya laughed while he shook his head at the lame pun. See, the Raikage said. Raikage-sama? C asked, leaving his position as bodyguard and kneeling on front of his leader. Call the ANBU barrier division. Have them set up a small barrier around the outside of the arena walls, the Raikage ordered, and C nodded as she shunshined away. A little too much? Jiraiya asked. I'm not taking any chances. #arena ##. Naruto jumped backwards to avoid the falling chunks of rock from the walls. Hinata stayed put, simply sidestepping the rocks. Once the dust cloud had settled, the arena now supported a brand new opening to the outside. Naruto narrowed his eyes when he saw Hinata roll her sleeves up and bend down to the ground. His eyes widened when he saw Hinata place her hands around the largest chunk of collapsed wall and lifted the heavy chunk of wall, rising it above her head. This is ridiculous, that has to weigh almost 40 tons. She can lift a house without her Byakuku, strength of 100 technique, or senjutsu, truly amazing. I wonder what her limit is, Naruto thought to himself in disbelief. He gulped when he saw Hinata leaning backwards and flinging the large rock towards him with surprising speed. Naruto bent his knees and held his ground as the rock approached, casting a shadow over him. With a flick of a wrist, 2 chains shot from both hands and wrapped themselves against the incoming meteorite. Naruto jumped to the side and channeled chakra into his feet. Naruto gripped his chains tightly as he swung the wall around and sent it back against towards Hinata. Hinata cocked her fist and slammed it against the wall, vaporing it into dust. She looked up to see Naruto running towards her with the space swirling in front of him. Naruto took his staff from his pocket dimension and swirled around him. In reply, Hinata channeled chakra to her wrist storage seals and took out her twin daggers. Both weapons met with a clang. They screeched with several orange sparks flying loose as both metals weapons scraped against one another. Naruto twirled his staff for a horizontal swing, making Hinata duck. She quickly got up and pushed forward, her daggers going first and forcing Naruto to step back, her daggers clipping a few of strands of his hair. Naruto back-flipped and held his staff horizontally, he gripped the staff and simply tapped his end. Arg! Hinata screamed as the staff suddenly expanded, growing exponentially in length and slamming against her stomach. Hinata's metal chest plate took most of the hit, but she was still sent flying. She twirled midair and landed gracefully on the ground. I should have known that wasn't a simple staff, Hinata grumbled in thought as she adjusted her armor and got up. She watched in fascination as the staff started floating and spinning above Naruto's hand, slowly increasing in speed. The staff started changing shape and shrinking, taking the form of a single, pitch-black, perfectly spherical ball. This ball started floating around Naruto, and split into 2. Each individual ball started elongating as if taking the shape of the staff again, but this time their new form had hilts and razor-sharp edges. They had taken the form of two twin, straight, one-edged swords. 1. Come, Naruto said, pointing a single sword towards Hinata, who grinned and shot forward. Cling. Clang. Both swords clashed against Hinata's twin daggers with a deafening clash. Hinata's daggers glowed a light blue as she performed a quick and powerful swing with her right dagger. Her eyes widened when Naruto simply blocked her weapon. My dagger was laced with wind chakra, even though it's my secondary nature it should have sliced right through, Hinata thought to herself in confusion as she parried a strike. Hinata stepped back and threw both daggers into the air. She cocked her right fist and slammed it forward. Naruto brought his twin swords in an X shape and blocked her punch. Taking advantage of her forward momentum, Naruto withdrew one of his blades and flexed it forward, piercing through her chest plate and straight through her stomach. He blinked and his breathing hitched when he noticed his sword embedded in Hinata's body, with the other end protruding from her back. Even the crowd seemed to gasp in shock and surprise. Naruto looked in shock but noticed that Hinata wasn't in pain but rather smirking. Suka no Jutsu, Water Transformation Jutsu, Hinata smirked as she pushed his extended arm deeper into her stomach, burying the hilt of the sword and his own hand into her. Naruto didn't even stop her with his shock, and before he could understand what happened, his right arm was trapped. Hinata smiled as she caught her daggers and swung both arms forward in a scissor attack. Naruto had to think quickly on his feet since he had only one arm available to defend against two daggers. Chidori Nagashi, Naruto said, and Hinata's eyes widened. She quickly dropped her jutsu and completely liquefied, dropping to the ground in a puddle of water. The water quickly rushed away and stopped a few feet from Naruto. The water started to clod together and growing in height until it took the shape of Hinata. Nifty little jutsu you got there, Naruto said as he rested both swords on each shoulder. Thank you, Naruto-kun. This is the defensive jutsu I picked up back in Kiri and I've been working on it ever since, Hinata explained. I got the idea after seeing your Kamui since not all of us can have overpowered eyes, Hinata said as she dashed forward once again. Hashtag Kagebox hashtag. Oh-ho, Jiraiya cheered and nearly jumped from his seat when he saw Hinata's new jutsu. I always knew that girl had a good head on her shoulders, Jiraiya grinned. Very interesting, the Raikage mused. I always had the idea that jutsu was the Hozuki clan's bloodline. It's a common misconception, Jiraiya replied, making the Raikage turn to him. That is the Hozuki clan's secret technique and not their bloodline. Much similar to the gentle fist taijutsu style, you don't actually need the Byakugan eye to use it, Jiraiya explained. Though I wonder where she got it. Jiraiya asked in afterthought. She partook in the bloodline war back in Kiri. Everything was chaos back there, I wouldn't be surprised if she picked up a couple stray scrolls from there, and like you said, she has a good head on her shoulders, A said, and Jiraiya was surprised. How do you know that she was in the war? Jiraiya asked cautiously. If I remember correctly, only Naruto and the dragons of the leaf were in combat. Come now, Jiraiya-sama, the Raikage replied in amusement. The Leaf Village isn't the only one with a spy network around. We are not as blind as you see us, the Raikage explained. You got me there, Jiraiya said, chuckling. Besides, when Naruto is somewhere then she isn't too far away. If I'm not mistaken she would be the purple dragon. With Naruto being the silver dragon and Sabaka no Gara, the Ichibi Jinchuriki being the brown dragon, the Raikage explained and Jiraiya nodded, surprised by the accuracy of Kumo's intel. Although those two, the Raikage said, pointing towards the blue and green dragon behind Jiraiya. Along with the rest of the group remain a mystery to us. I don't suppose you could enlighten us? The Raikage innocently asked. I do believe they are about to pick up the pace, Jiraiya said, motioning to the arena. The Raikage knew that Jiraiya intently shifted the focus of the conversation but made no reference to it and simply turned to the arena. Hashtag arena hashtag. Keton, Goka Mekyaku, Great Fire Annihilation, Naruto's trademark fire jutsu burst from his mouth in a colossal wave of hot fire. The barrage of fire scorched the grounds as it barreled towards Hinata, who was already blurring through hand seals. Suetun, Dai Bakusui Shuha, Great Exploding Water Wave, Hinata replied to Naruto's fire jutsu by using her strongest multi-purpose water technique. She pumped her lungs with chakra and then released it. A magnificent wave of water poured from her mouth, forcing her to rise in the air by the force of it. Hinata stood on top of the water wave as if ridding it. The water marched forward, crushing anything beneath it and clashed against the wall of fire. Naruto poured more chakra into his technique, making his fire start to change from regular orange to an almost pure white due to the heat released. They both stopped their technique, seeing that they were neutralizing themselves out. Although Hinata's water technique should have the advantage, she didn't have the capacity to simply pour more chakra into her technique, unlike Naruto, who was always renowned for his unending batteries. The steam from the technique was so much that it clouded everything in the arena, making all of the audience blind. The steam started to overflow over the walls, but it showed no sign of starting to dissipate. "Do you see anything?" a spectator asked to the person sitting next to him, who simply shook his head in denial. "How are we supposed to watch the match now? I can barely see my hands. This sucks." Cling. Clang. All of the audience's rambling was broken from the metal sounds coming from the arena. Even with all of the steam, Naruto and Hinata were still going at it strong. Suddenly, a silence overtook the arena. The crowd's breathing hitched in anticipation until two loud shouts broke their stupor. "Kuchios no Jutsu, summoning technique. Kuchios no Jutsu, summoning technique." Both Naruto and Hinata called out their jutsu at the same time. The steam that once clouded the arena was pushed back due to pure air displacement. The crowd's eyes widened in shock and surprise at the face of the two monsters standing in the middle of the arena, each summon with their respective summoner on top of their head. "Thank you for coming, Katsuyu-sama," Hinata said from the top of her slug summon, the boss of the slug clan. "No problem at all, Hinata-chan," Katsuyu replied. "Who are you? Ah, you are fighting Naruto-kun," Katsuyu said. "Thank you for the assistance," Hinata said, and looked up to see Naruto on top one very large fox. The fox in fact looked a lot like the Kyuubi himself, although it possessed nowhere the size of the 9 tails. He was just about the size of Katsuyu herself, rusty red fur with piercing red eyes and black vertical slits. Black ear tips and legs, white underbelly coupled with a single bushy tail with a very distinctive dark blue color tip. "It's the first time you have summoned me, Naruto-sama," the fox replied in his deep voice. "Sorry about that, Kentaro," Naruto replied, rubbing the back of his head. "For a moment I thought you would summon the Kyuubi," Hinata replied as she readied herself. "Even I'm not crazy enough to summon Kurama into such small arena," Naruto replied. "You are right, of course. These people are not worthy of gazing upon my magnificent self," Kurama said from his mind, making Naruto's sweat drop. "Zeshi Nensen, acid slime," Katsuyu said as she released a highly concentrated acidic paste upon Naruto and Kentaro. With all the dexterity of a fox, Kentaro simply sidestepped the acid as it splashed into the ground, melting the earth and rock. Kentaro snarled, showing his point and sharp fangs as she charged forward. Kentaro's tail started crackling with lightning as he picked up the pace and dashed forward. Kentaro's head started glowing blue and suddenly he blurred forward, leaving a blue trail of electricity behind. Kaminari Ryo, lightning charge, Katsuyu threw herself to the side as Kentaro swooped past her at blinding speeds. Seeing that he missed, Kentaro stopped and turned around, jumping backwards to avoid an array of shuriken from Hinata. Kentaro swung around with his tail sparkling once again. "Reibi, lightning tail," Kentaro said as he spun and slammed his tail into Katsuyu, splitting her body in half. Kentaro started walking slowly, bearing his fangs around Katsuyu's body as it burst in hundreds of smaller slugs and slowly reformed a few feet away. "Dodge!" Naruto yelled, telling Kentaro to jump to the side as Hinata dropped from the sky with her leg raised. Kentaro watched as Hinata's kick smashed into the arena and left a crater behind. Kentaro snarled as he coiled and jumped forward, clawing at Katsuyu who slithered away from him. Her wounds sizzling away in a matter of seconds. "Kasen, light beam," Kentaro opened his mouth and released a small lightning bolt towards Katsuyu. The bolt ripped through the ground and smashed against the walls, leaving a small hole in them. "Suetun, Mizurappa, wild water wave," Hinata said as she opened her mouth and released a stream of water right against Kentaro who was unable to dodge. Kentaro was slightly pushed back but held his ground, shaking his head and body to get rid of the water. "Naruto-sama," Kentaro said, shivering, and Naruto understood the meaning. With their fur wet, foxes can't regulate their body heat, causing a rapid drop in their core temperature. "On my mark, use your strongest lightning jutsu," Naruto said, and Kentaro nodded, charging up with his blue tail slightly glowing. "Now! Suetun, Daibaku Sui Shuha, great exploding water wave," Naruto said, using the same water jutsu that Hinata had used earlier, and released a gigantic wave of water against Katsuyu who didn't anywhere to dodge in the arena. "Kaminari Kitsune, lightning fox," Kentaro shouted as his fur seemed to stand on point and sparkle. From his body shot an almost identical clone of him but completely made of pure lightning. Arg! Katsuyu screamed as the electrified water wave crashed on her, delivering a brutal lightning move directly at her. Hinata jumped away from her summon and high into the walls to avoid the jutsu. Katsuyu didn't take long to disappear in smoke. "I'll be going now, Naruto-sama," Kentaro said. "You can go and thank you," Naruto said as Kentaro disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Both Naruto and Hinata jumped into the ground, standing on top of the water that stood a few inches from the earth itself, slowly washing away through the various cracks on the ground. Hashtag with crowd hashtag. Amazing, Tenten whispered, mesmerized by the battle playing itself in front of her eyes. So this is a battle between two Kage-level shinobi. They don't seem to want to stop anytime soon, Ren said. I don't think they get to spar like this many times, Tenten said. You call this a spar? Ren gave a high-pitched screech of indignation and quickly blushed at her actions, making Tenten slightly snicker. Shikamaru was right. I don't think this place can take much more of this, Tenten said, looking at the numerous craters on the ground, several cracks along the walls, not to mention the huge chunk that was missing. Tsunade-sama is renowned for her strength. It is said that she can bring mountains down with a single punch, Ren said. We can already see that here, Tenten said, pointing at the walls. Those walls are reinforced with hard stone, coupled with metallic frame on the inside and a high tensile fabric all around to prevent collapse and withstand heavy strikes, Tenten explained. And look at it, Tenten chuckled. She brought the whole wall down and picked it up like it was paper or something. I don't think the Raikage will be much happy about that. I guess not, Ren replied. I guess it would be wise not to antagonize her, Taiseki muttered in thought, looking at Hinata. What the hell is happening? Hashtag arena hashtag. Shall we increase the pace? Hinata asked and Naruto nodded. Both started leaking out chakra as their auras sky-rocketed, their chakra saturating the air. Everyone in the stands and most shinobi cringed at the feeling they got. It was like having tons of pressure against their chest, preventing from breathing. They almost felt like ants at the face of their chakra, each one surrounded by an almost visible aura of chakra. Their hair flapped wildly, the wind rustled and even the water was vibrating. Hinata poured more chakra, intending on matching Naruto on every way. She started gaining a dim purple aura around her, one that would put Orochimaru himself to shame in both the sinister feeling of the color itself but the power and strength of her chakra. Her hair rose into the air, her Byakugan eyes seemed to glow, her armor rattled with her shoulder armor plates flapping wildly. Hinata's chakra started shaping around her as she started hand seals. Hitsuji, ram seal, hands together vertically with left thumb on top. Her aura seemed to expand in volume. Inu, dog seal, her left hand laid flat on top of her right fist. Her aura started gaining a vibrant shade of purple, not enough to avoid gazing upon her, but enough to be uncomfortable. Rat seal, both hands together vertically with left thumb on the outside. Her aura increased in density as more chakra was poured onto the technique. Snake seal, both hands clasped together with left thumb on the outside. The water beneath Hinata started bubbling, almost like it was boiling itself. The day itself started getting dimmer, the sun slowly vanishing away as clouds started gathering and forming high above the arena. Tatsu, dragon seal, hands clasped together vertically with baby fingers forming a triangle. Hijitsu, Mugen no aim, secret technique, endless rain, Hinata said as she finished her technique and the sky seemed to almost roar. A fierce gust of wind swept by as a thunder illuminated the arena. The sun, blocked by a dark sheet of clouds, clouding what was once a beautiful day into a stormy one. Violent rain. Fierce winds. Blinding thunders. Words that could barely describe the pinnacle of Hinata's secret technique, summoned at the top of her strengths. She had brought forth the biggest storm anyone had ever laid eyes upon. Water poured out of the sky almost like an ocean, drenching both Hinata and Naruto in a matter of seconds. Some girls don't like water because it ruins their hair. This did not apply to Hinata, who seemed to be in heaven in the middle of the storm. She closed her eyes and looked at the dark sky, savoring as the cold water hit her face, the icy wind rushing around her body, the roar of thunders lighting up the darkening sky. Yes, Hinata was in her home, surrounded by her element. She could feel everything around her, the water pouring from the sky, the moist in the air, the water on the floor, slowly sinking into the earth, linking up with underground streams. It was everywhere, all around her. She could even feel the water inside the people in the stands, in their blood. She had achieved the highest possible level of water manipulation, surpassing the legendary Senju Tobarama. In a not-so-distant future, she will become known as the Aim no Mikumari, water goddess, the first water elemental and, by strike of fate or bad luck itself, she would also be the last one as well. 2. Elemental, a man or woman who had become one with her element. Naruto broke himself from his shock and simply gazed at Hinata. She looked so happy right now, so relaxed. She was completely soaked like him, the water was hitting her face and yet she had her eyes closed, like she enjoyed the contact of water with her skin. His eyes widened when he noticed that her chakra reserves were filling back up. She had spent around 1/3 of her reserves and now they were filling up by themselves. He could see it clearly with his Sharingan, and it baffled him to no end. While strong and very smart, Hinata couldn't just pull chakra from water, simply because it had none to begin with. Normal water only had natural energy and that alone didn't make chakra. And suddenly it clicked, he remembered this jutsu. The rain stole chakra from the ones hit with it. That devious girl, Naruto chuckled to himself as he noticed the rate at which she was recharging. Naruto looked around and saw her stealing chakra from the Raikage and Jiraiya in Kage Box, along with their bodyguards. They were small amounts and no one would ever notice unless she wanted it to. Do you think it was wise? Naruto said, breaking Hinata from her bliss as she slowly opened her eyes. Summoning such storm I mean. I'm not known as the Konoha no Raijin, thunder god of Konoha, for nothing, Naruto warned, looking at the thunders, but Hinata just smiled and laughed softly. Her laugh sounded like a melody to his ears. Suddenly Hinata just stopped laughing and with that the whole storm seemed to freeze, the rain stopping and hovering midair. Naruto watched with interest, his Sharingan not missing a single detail. The water drops seemed to slowly being drawn towards Hinata and began spinning above her, forming something similar to a water sphere. More and more water was being drawn into whatever technique she was using, but the strange part was that Hinata didn't use hand seals for this one, her eyes were solely on Naruto. The size of the water sphere was ridiculous to say the least, it was big as the summons that had just left the arena. The sphere started elongating, taking the shape of a serpent-like creature. Naruto's eyes widened when he understood what was happening. Kirin. Mizuchi, 3. Both dragons blasted forward at blinding speeds. A huge, roaring lightning dragon came down from the sky, meeting the water serpent head-on. Boom! As the elemental dragons collided, everything went white in the arena. The whole building shook from the impact as both techniques clashed and struggled to overpower the other. The crowd could only hold to their seats and avoid gazing upon the arena, due to the brightness. The walls crumbled into dust in the ground, the wooden gates to the arena were vaporized and the earth was torn apart. Everyone in the stands held their breath and thanked whoever chose to rise a barrier in the arena. Naruto dug himself out of the ground, a silver ribcage around his body. He looked around, searching for Hinata who seemed to be nowhere. He noticed a clotting chunk of water in the midst of the destruction they had created. The rain seemed to have stopped and the clouds started dissipating. Hinata's form rose from the water as she took a deep breath and looked towards Naruto. Both the previous jutsus were a one-shot only and it would take time to recharge. Hinata had spent all the water around her, she had literally bled the air dry, drawing all the water it had. Enough of elemental jutsu, the real battle has just begun, Naruto said as his eyes glowed and his Susanoo evolved into the next level, sprouting 2 arms, armed with 2 white ethereal scythes. Perhaps not, Tobi's voice rang from the arena. Hinata's eyes widened when she heard a voice behind her, right next to her ear. She quickly turned around, only for her eyes to catch a glimpse of something metallic. She tilted her head as a blade grazed her neck, leaving a small blood trail. Tobi placed his hand on her shoulder and the space in front of him started swirling. As she was being warped away, she released chakra from all her chakra points, literally giving Tobi a Juken strike and interrupting his Kamui. Before Hinata could take advantage of Tobi's shock, she found herself on the opposite side of the arena. She looked confused and watched as Naruto pierced Tobi's chest with a Raikiri. What happened? Naruto-kun swapped places with me before I could even blink and that wasn't his Hiroshin, Hinata thought to herself confused. Her Byakugan was still at full blaze when she saw thousands of Zetsu pouring from the ground all around Kumo. He's launching an attack on Kumo, Hinata thought in disbelief until she saw him cough blood from Naruto's lightning strike. Naruto's blood-red eyes bore straight into the orange mask he came to hate and despise. Naruto looked around to see the Zetsu jumping from the ground and started a mayhem in Kumo. An invasion during the Jounin exams finals, not very creative if you ask me, Naruto chuckled, his hands still in Tobi's chest. Ahahaha, Tobi laughed darkly, spitting blood to the ground. You can't defeat me with something like this, Tobi said, looking down at Naruto's hand. Perhaps, But you aren't going anywhere, Naruto smirked and Tobi's eyes widened when he felt that he couldn't mold chakra. Naruto saw his panicked eyes and chuckled darkly. This was kind of anticlimactic, wouldn't you say? Naruto rhetorically asked. Naruto brought his free hand and gently placed it on top of Tobi's mask. Ever so slowly, he started removing it until he dropped it to the ground. The years have not been kind to you, Fugaku, Naruto said, and Fugaku snarled as he tried to jump away but found chains wrapped around his feet. Even you can't defeat an army of 10,000 Zetsu, Fugaku laughed in reply. We made many precautions to hide our plan. My army outweighs the shinobi in Kyumo by 3 inch. I do not fear an army of lions led by a sheep, Naruto replied as his sparkling hand died down. Naruto noticed that his chest wasn't the usual brownish color but was white instead. So that's how he can use the Mokuton, Naruto thought. Naruto looked back and watched as 2 Zetsu that were coming for Naruto were sniped by Hinata as she made her way towards him. I've decided on a far better fate for you than death, Naruto said and smiled darkly as he noticed a drop of sweat running down Fugaku's face. I'm going to make an example out of you, Naruto growled as he injected heavy amounts of natural energy on Fugaku's chakra network. Naruto could already see specks of gray stone forming on his skin. The man that wanted the world. I'm going to make a martyr out of you, the world will see you as the fool you were. Are you ready, Fugaku? Naruto asked. Oblivion awaits. End chapter. Real name, Aim no Minakanushi no Kami. Identity/class, Japanese goddess. Occupation, goddess of water. Known relatives, Minato no Kami, father, Izanagi, paternal grandfather, Izanami, paternal grandmother, Takemi Masubi, Bishamon, Susanoo, Tsukiyomi, Kagutsuchi, uncles, Amaterasu, Yukmachi, aunts. Name, Mizuchi, Japanese water dragon, serpent-like creature, image in profile. Rank, S rank. Requirements, very high chakra control, extremely high water affinity. Class, water ninjutsu, offensive. Users, Senju Hinata. Hand seals, none, requires previous use of Hijitsu, Mugen no aim, secret technique, endless rain. Description, by summoning vast amounts of water, Hinata can use the energy of the storm itself to unleash her own version of Kirin. In this case a water dragon, capable of crushing nearly anything. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kaioshin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my Patreon. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips. Yamatancho. Harold's Martinsons.
If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be here until next time.